towards the darkness.
Nah, yo, look towards the light.
Yo, what the? Yo, what is that?
It's a supernova.
Nah, man, that's a black hole.
Yo, it's.
I leap over lies in a single pound.
Who are you?
The black prophet, one day I got struck by knowledge of self. It gave me super scientific powers.
Quick one, really quick one for you. Here we are down in Brixton, and we've got a situation where we've got these young brothers all going crazy. Lambeth has one of the highest rates of teenage violence going off, very violent borough, high rates of inequality. And you have to start thinking, where's all this stuff come from? And so it was brought to my attention just yesterday. I got a call from one of my Green colleagues. Because I'm Rashid Nix, as you can see, I'm with the Green Party, I'm the equality spokesperson. I'm also one of the candidates standing down in Brixton. My running mate is a gentleman called Michael Gross. Michael Gross is one of Brixton's most famous sons. So you've got two brothers who have a very strong connection to Brixton, and we're running for the Greens. And a letter lands through people's doors in Lambeth, and the letter is now going to come up on the screen. And according to this letter, the Greens are a complete, basically a waste of time party who don't care anything about local people, don't care nothing about poor people. And if you've got any sense, you're going to take your free votes and you're going to go out and you're going to vote for the Labour boys. The interesting thing about this letter is that it's written supposedly by a young man called Solomon Smith from the Brixton Soup Kitchen. I know Solomon very, very, very well. Because Solomon used to come to my house when he was a little shorty. I know Solomon for 20 years. Me and his uncle went to university. I know his uncle for 25 years. His mother even signed my nomination form for me to stand. That's how we roll. So when this letter comes out and Solomon's saying this stuff about the Greens and this and that, I'm thinking, but Solomon, you said as a candidate for the Greens. In the letter, it says that, you know, no one from the Greens ever contacted him, which is kind of ironic because I go to the soup kitchen, I don't know, at least once a week I stop in there. I know the guys in there from Micah, Uma, Yardi, Jennifer. Big up to all the people in the soup kitchen because you did a magnificent job. Now the thing about the soup kitchen, what's really interesting is that the soup kitchen, more than anything else, highlights the blatant inequalities that are taking place within Brixton. Across the road from the soup kitchen, you have a multi-million-pound development. I don't think there's any social housing in there at all, being built right now. On one side of the road, you've got a whole heap of poor people being fed. On the other side of the road, you've got multi-million-pound investments taking place. That's the inequality of Lambeth. If you look at this thing here, can you see this? Ethnic inequalities in London. This is a report that Labour really wish would just die. So they didn't say nothing about it. If it was wrong, they would have challenged it in the courts, but they just kept quiet about it. Ethnic inequality in London. Check this. In the table of ethnic inequality, Lambeth is the #1 borough for inequality. Number 2, Haringey. Number 3, Tower Hamlets. Number 4 is Brent. All Labour controlled. But yet still, come election time, who do these ethnic minorities go and vote for? We all go and vote for Labour. And in return, we get the highest rates of racial inequality. And before my Labour colleagues start screaming, oh, it's the Tory cuts, it's the Tory cuts, this information was carried out over a 10-year period. And of the 10 years, none of them was a Labour government in number 10 Downing Street. So it's nothing to do with the Tory cuts, okay? Under the Tory cuts, it's just gotten worse. But under Labour, it was bad enough as it is. 2016. So when you think about some of the stuff that goes on in some of these boroughs, down here in Brixton, like I said, you've got myself, Michael Gross, running as Greens, standing for community. And this letter appears in people's doorsteps, signed by Solomon Smith of the Soup Kitchen. Now I know Solomon, like I said, I know Solomon very well. And Solomon is not the type of young gentleman that's going to do that, because Solomon is a beautiful young brother who's come out of a very, very good family, decent people, hard-working people, and Solomon don't play like that. So what I do know is that somebody has whispered in Solomon's ear. Whoever that person is, Solomon, who made you write that letter, let me tell you something straight, my young brother. That person does not have your interests at heart because they're using you as the fool guy. They're using the Soup Kitchen brand that you've spent years building up, and they're using your name brand as a practice, as a shield, as a shield to practice their dirty practices of divide and rule. Now let me break it down for you people out there, especially my Labour crew. If the 4 most racially unequal boroughs in London are all Labour, and they have some of the worst conditions for young people, over in Haringey, the young lady got shot a couple weeks back. Down in Brixton, down in Lambeth, this thing's happening all the time. Over in Harlesden, the same thing. How does this happen? When the FBI was trying to prevent the coalition of black organisations to develop the black community, one of the things that they would do is that they would initiate these really dodgy little programs where they would take letters from one organisation, falsify it and put it out there, and then they would create a certain amount of animosity and friction. But because we deal with the higher sciences, we see you coming. So the election agent for Labour, Lambeth, I think the man's name is, what's his name? Mr. Mortimer? Is it Paul Mortimer? Is that his name? Because his name appears at the bottom of the letter. He's the election agent. Paul Mortimer, let me tell you something straight, sir. As election agent, you have a certain duty to uphold certain standards, certain conduct. And for you to knowingly put out some malicious information like that, some defamatory information, let me tell you straight, this will be the last time you stand as election agent, because I'm going to raise my concerns and my complaints directly with the Electoral Commission and Operation Black Vote and also the Electoral Reform Society. Your name will be called up, not Solomon, because Solomon, I understand, trying to run the soup kitchen with very limited resources is going to be put in very, very difficult positions because he's got a job to do. For those of us from the community, in the letter, it says that no one from the Green Party contacted Solomon Smith and the Soup Kitchen since 2014. Let me tell you straight, I go to the Soup Kitchen once a week. On my radio show on Genesis, we've had the Soup Kitchen on at least 3 times in the past year. Let me check my phone and I'm going to show you something, because we do regular interviews and we follow the story with the Soup Kitchen and we let people know what's going down. Hold on a sec, what we got here? Soup Kitchen, Soup Kitchen. Can you see here? Soup Kitchen meeting.
It's the top man.
Here you go.
They say that people in this community don't involve themselves in the politics of the community. What make you come down here today, man? A good thing. What make you come down here today? Genesis Radio.
Yeah, I come down here for the simple fact that the Domino Club and the Brixton Soup Kitchen is our place. It's our premises, it's a place that we use. Now, the people that don't use these buildings are the ones that don't want us to go inside.
Okay,
and that's
okay.
us from going inside. But everyone that uses
Brother behind the camera, can you look at the date on that, please, sir? Just say the date.
30th of the 11th, 2017.
Right. That's a couple months ago. 4 months ago? Okay. And that's the last time we had the Soup Kitchen on Genesis Radio. And like I said, they've been on 3 times at least in the past year. I've spoken at events organised by the Soup Kitchen in the last year. So for a letter to come out saying that there's been no contact, and remember, I'm the Green Party Equality spokesperson. So for a letter to come out saying that there's no contact, that's a downright defamatory lie. And for the election agent to allow that to go through, or maybe the election agent even wrote that, because that isn't even Solomon's writing. I speak to Solomon. Do you want me to give you his number? I got his number on my telephone. You want me to listen? So, community members, check this. You have black organisations working on the ground in the black community, and you have a council, a Labour-controlled council, that's trying to make little political friction between different groups of black men that are trying to do the right thing by their community. Now, if we was lesser beings, we would respond emotionally, and before you know it, there's some kind of beef. But because we understand how these little systems work, there's no beef. Solomon, step to one side. It's the people that's behind you that whispered in your ear, that made you sign a letter that you know you didn't even believe in because you know it wasn't even right and exact. That's who we got to deal with. So come May the 3rd, when everyone's out there voting, that's the kind of stuff that you're electing. You're electing a Labour council that has overseen the highest rates of racial inequality and play black groups off against each other. divide and rule. If you haven't realised that by now, 2018, you will never realise it.
Can't stop the profit.
Joe Prophet, come here real quick. Yo, I just saw him was downtown. Let me put you on. Word, he down there bugging. He got them ill and out. They shooting everything out.
Let's continue the saga.
To say that the Green Party down in Lambeth doesn't have the interests of the poor people and the vulnerable people at heart, that's such a ridiculous thing to say. I know Solomon didn't say that. Solomon, we're cool. I'm going to come down to the Soup Kitchen tomorrow, get myself a plate of food and give you a big hug. Because Solomon is my big little brother, or my little big brother. And I've seen how that brother's developed, and I'm proud of him because he's doing fantastic work. So why people behind you, Solomon, would want to whisper in your ear and create some kind of divide, that's what you have to ask them. Because they're using you, sir, as a political stepping stone. And I understand the play. So whoever was that link person to make this thing happen, that person, you need to scrutinize that person. Because I said to the elders in the community, from time, I kept saying to the elders, go and look out for Solomon. Go and look out for Big Boy. And they said, why? I said, because them men are sitting down in a building in Coldharbour Lane that's got to be worth about £4 to £5 million. And when you're sitting down on that type of asset in a place like Lambeth, where Lambeth has spent the last, I don't know, since the time of Steve Reed, that was what, 2008 sort of times. They've just spent this whole time asset stripping their own borough. Everything that they can sell, they sold off. So now they're looking at stuff that they can try to work out. So what they're looking to do, I'm going to tell you straight, they're looking to make a little division between the Domino's Club within the building and the Soup Kitchen crew, which also share the building. So you have the older crew and you have the younger crew. There was that very famous speech by Willie Lynch, may or may not be true. He said, I'm going to show you how to control these boys. You put the young against the old. You create division where there's no division. And that's exactly what they're doing. So what's going to happen is that I wouldn't be at all surprised knowing that Lambeth Council cut deals all day long with property developers, all day long. They've now formed a company called, was it Homes for Lambeth, where they've teamed up with Savills, the estate agents. Savills have got into bed with Lambeth. You know, in Westminster, Tory-run Westminster, Tory councillors are resigning because they said developers are having too much say. The Tories have more principle than Labour on this issue. That's out. You can even make this stuff up. And I guarantee you that there are sharks circulating, looking at that building where the Soup Kitchen and the Domino's Club is located, and they're saying, okay, let's do the mathematics now. That building's worth this. Oh, the land's worth that, because they've got a big garden at the back. So they're going to divide you guys up again. And they might give you a couple little shillings to keep running, because that's what they do. They give us the crumbs. The strategic director of Lambeth, a woman called Sue Foster. Sue Foster's on £200,000 a year. There was one head teacher in Lambeth. Cameraman, check this one. One head teacher in Lambeth was on £330,000 a year. Little man's like looking at me like, what? £330,000 a year. One head teacher in Lambeth. So don't talk about Labour care for poor people. They built a new town hall. They said it was going to cost 50 million. Came in at about 110 million. If I went over budget by that amount of money, I wouldn't get any work. After releasing this video, I probably won't get any work in Lambeth ever again. But I don't even care. Because what I do know is that you have to face the people of Coldharbour Ward. You have to face the people of Brixton. And one thing I know about the people of Brixton, if they know that you're on the team, if they know that you ain't mealy mouth, if they know that you're not using their name to try and build your political career, they give you mad love. They might not give you the vote because black people don't vote, but let me give you the love. So let me conclude now. Let me just wrap this thing up. Highest inequality, we've done that. Gang violence in the borough, think about this one. The areas with the highest amounts of gang activity. You go into Haringey, gang activity, black MP. Down in Brixton, gang activity, you got Chooks, black MP. Yeah? Halsden, same thing running. Brent, same thing running. But what they don't tell you, the context is that you have all these areas of social housing estates, and what they want to do is that they want to create so much confusion that when they start pushing these plans through, because they got these developers on their shoulders, we're not in a position to respond. And that's why they're bad-mouthing the Greens, because we are the guys that are out on the block talking to people, educating people. I did workshops over at the Soup Kitchen. Black History Month, we did a screen of why don't black people vote. You know what I'm saying, brother? So our thing is really about political education. And hopefully I pray that we get this thing worked out, because in these boroughs, gentrification and social and ethnic cleansing is at its highest. So here's my conclusion. Domino Club, Soup Kitchen, same venue, worth 4 mil. You got a council that is hell-bent on selling every single asset to developers in the borough. I think the days of the Domino Club, if we don't get it sorted out properly, are numbered. People ask me, they say, Rashid, how comes the people in the Domino's Club don't come and talk to you on a level where you understand the politics of the area? I told the young bloods at the Soup Kitchen, I said, go to one of the estate agents and get a valuation. Get a valuation of the building and the land. And then you can work out what's going on. That's what we need to do. So I can see the Domino's Club being allowed to, you know, stumble on for a little bit longer, and then the council will step in and say, you know what? And then there'll be some developer waiting to take it one time. So, communities looking to get destroyed, elections coming up, Greens speaking the truth, Labour putting false information out, trying to create beef. Imagine that, trying to create beef amongst black males. Imagine that, Labour trying to create beef at a time when our young people are going crazy, and this is being pushed and pushed, and people are trying to find solutions to the problems your local Labour council voted for by the black folk, in particular down here in Lambeth, are trying to spread dissent and stir it up between brothers. Can you believe that? And we're supposed to now get into some kind of argument. Solly, I love you. Keep up the good work, son. And for all you people watching out there, to know that this young brother is doing brilliant work with no money, that means that the council can dangle little bits of money in front of him to pressure him into doing stuff that he wouldn't ordinarily do. Shame on us. Because the 3 times we had the Soup Kitchen on Genesis, I always give them support, and I always say, support these brothers in what they do. Now, if we can go out to Umar Johnson and spend £40 in a ticket to have some brother tell you what you already know, or spend money to go to Wakanda Vision and do this, and you know what I'm saying? I know people saw that film 6 and 7 times, spent hundreds of pounds, but then here's the Soup Kitchen doing work in the community, and you can't go in your pocket and pull out £10 and say, yo, Solly, hold this. Shame on us. Shame on us. So like I said, Paul Mortimer, election agent, you have brought your position into disrepute, because I know that when it comes down to it, the election agent for the Green Party, Adrian Audley, he won't let me put out any leaflet, and if it's not in the spirit, he says, sorry Rashid, it's not going out. So there are standards, and you have no respect for standards, and this is the last time, sir, that you will be an agent. Like I said, I'm going to the Electoral Commission with your name and the letter with your name on the bottom. Don't worry about that. I'm also going to the Electoral Reform Society. And Operation Black Vote, who just got about 90 million from the government, I'm going to let them know that there's people like you down here making divide and rule policies amongst the community. You want to know where the violence is coming from, people? You want to know where the lack of unity is coming from, people? Look in your local town hall. You voted them in. Peace. Positive energy always creates innovation. Peace.
Prophet. Well, Prophet, it seems like you're in a bit of a jam. I hope you can unstick yourself. Oh, and what you did to my wife, it was nothing. I have others. The saga continues.